Okay, so a man goes to the doctor, and the doctor says, I got some bad news for you. And the doctor says, you only got 6 months to live. And the man's very upset. He says, Doc, is there anything you can do? Anything that's going to help? And the doctor says, no, I'm sorry. And the man says, please, I'm desperate. Doc, anything you can help? And the doctor says, well, you could build a data warehouse. And the man says, will that make me live longer? And the doctor says, no, but it'll make your last 6 months feel like forever. So we're going to talk about bringing order to chaos. This is me. I'm Michael Tantrum. I'm the Director of Sales Engineering at Coalesce. I've been building analytic platforms for 36 years. So this is coming from tremendous experience of implementing these solutions. So I want to start by saying, why do we have jobs? What is our reason for being? So our jobs exist to get data in the hands of our business users so they can make decisions to run the business. Our job is not to write the most beautiful code. It is not to come up with the most elegant data models. It is purely and simply getting data in the hands of business users to run the job, to run the business. Now, we lose sight of this. We get caught up in the detail, but I want you to have this in the back of your mind throughout the presentation. Of course, this data's got to be timely, understood, fit for purpose, and accurate. But why is this hard? Why do projects fail? Now, when I say fail, I mean undelivered features, I mean budget overruns, I mean elongated timelines, I mean unmanageable messes, things that cannot be maintained. A really high-profile data project that fails could kill your career. So this is why we care. Okay, the main reasons that our projects fail, according to Gartner and other research places, is number one, change management. Change management almost always kills our projects. And that's usually driven by requirements that are unknown or weak or constantly changing. The other thing is very cumbersome processes or data challenges. But by far and away, the biggest issue is change management. And so that's where I'm going to focus a lot more today. Now, for those of you who've done any projects like this for any length of time, you're going to know this. It's an axiom of data projects. Consumers of data are unable to articulate their requirements clearly. They don't know what they don't know. Now, the corollary of this is they will know it when they see it. Okay, data engineering, it's the only branch of engineering, of any type of engineering, where we don't have full specifications of what we're building at the beginning of the project. Everything else, a house, a car, a software project, we know what we're going to build, okay? If I'm going to build a system for processing invoices, then how many different ways can you process an invoice? 1, 2 maybe. But if I'm going to build you a product to analyze invoices, how many different ways are there to analyze an invoice? Infinite. And I can only tell you the first 1 or 2. So that's why it's a problem. You hear the expression, we're building the airplane as we're trying to fly it. If you've done this, you know this. Okay, that means standard engineering processes will not work for data engineering, because whenever there's change in specifications, it sends our projects backwards, often at tremendous cost. Okay, so if this is a typical data engineering development cycle, we get a need, the business has a need, we gather some requirements. From the requirements, we do a build. Hopefully that gets accepted. Maybe there's some remediation, and finally we deploy. We assume steps 1 and 2 are easy or somebody else's problem. Give me good requirements, I can build it. I know how to build it. All of you guys here are good data engineers. If I tell you build something, you know how to build it. The problem is that what if the requirements are not good, or they're incomplete, or they change? And now, we could take the high road and say, I built what you asked for. Sorry, you got what you've got. And if I am a consultant or a contractor, that's probably what I'm going to do. But if you come back to our reason for being, which is to get data in the hands of our users to manage the business, we're going to say, okay, you need changes, let me knuckle down, let me build it, we'll have another go round. that becomes really hard, we get worn out, but we can get there. But it creates an adversarial relationship between us and our users. So, we think this is our job, right? Build is straightforward, good competent developers. The stumbling block comes when we get change, and we naively assume that there will not be changes, okay? And yet we know it happens. Anybody ever had a project with no requirements change? I want to come and work at your place if you do. All right, okay. This is somebody else's job. Now, here's how it classically works. A user says, I need a new set of data. IT, can you give me that set of data? And we say, sure, give me a requirements document. And they say, why? And I say, because once I start coding, if I have to make changes, it's very expensive in time and cost. And they say, I don't know what a requirements document look like. And I say, well, go figure it out. And so we get them a business analyst and they go lock themselves in a room. They say, can we have everything? You say, can't have everything. So eventually we come out with this requirements document. I go off and I do my build and I come back and I go, okay, here we go. And so here's the problem. There is a fundamental disconnect between the requirements definition and the acceptance. They don't know what they don't know. And when they see it, we have to make changes. And so we get stuck in remediation. Okay, and changes are expensive, and often the remediation is hard and it's painful. If you think about it, I've got to update the requirements document, update my logical model, update my physical model, my storage mappings, update the code, check it into a source code repository, deploy it, update my documentation, update my schedule, all these steps, and every step is a different tool. And every tool is a different skill set, and every skill set could be a different person. And every time I change person, there's an email, and an email takes a day to respond to. And this is hard. Well, we're going to try and change that for you. So this is what happens. This is the result. We burn out, we take shortcuts just to get the project done. We end up hating our users because they keep making changes. They end up hating us because we can't move at the pace they want. We can't think like they think. And they see us as a bottleneck. They see us as a tax. They see us as something to fight rather than an enabler. The project never gets completed to everybody's satisfaction. And we have the cost and time overruns makes your management unhappy. They say, should we kill the project? Should we outsource it? Should we do something different? But I don't like the experience I just had. And ultimately, this business goes, we're going back to spreadsheets. I know how a spreadsheet works. I can make it work. And you're saying, that's wrong. Hey, we have all of this because we don't want you having spreadsheets. And they say, yeah, but the process is killing us. At least I can work my spreadsheet. All right, let's do something new. Given data engineering is the only branch of engineering where the full specifications of deliverable are unknown at the start of the project, and given that forcing our users to write comprehensive requirements document is an exercise in futility, could we change the process to lower the cost of change? And could we make the requirements gathering exercise and the acceptance remediation cycle much more adaptive to reality that's faced by our users? So could we do this? Let's talk about lowering the cost of change. As engineers, almost everything we do follows patterns and standards. Okay, you know this. If you've written a piece of code, if you've written a create table statement, everything follows a pattern. Anything pattern-based or standards-based can be templated. Anything pattern-based or templated can be automated. And I've got a list of things here of things that are standards that we would like to automate. Naming conventions, table names, view names, system column names, key names, etc. Storage settings. If we follow the medallion architecture, bronze, silver, gold, I want objects of certain types to automatically go into certain places. Coding patterns. If I'm going to create a type 2 slowly changing dimension, which is a big long merge statement, the pattern is standardized. Why can't I have that automated? Model structural standards. Let's keep with my dimension example. I want that to have a surrogate key, and that to be maybe a hash or maybe an identity column. I want columns to track start and end dates. All of these are standards. testing and data quality. I want to be able to say, create a test to test an issue, and I want you to apply that to everywhere that you see something similar. Documentation. There's no reason why documentation cannot be automated. Lineage, data dictionary. And then operational considerations, source code control, deployment automation, orchestration automation, and then operations. When I run this thing every day, every hour, whatever, automatically capture rich details that tells me what's going on. So if I can do this, I can lower the cost of change, therefore I can change my approach to my projects. Okay, I work for Coalesce. I'm going to tell you about how our product helps you with this. I promise it's my only product slide, but I just want to give you a flavor for it. Okay, on the left-hand side, we have data sources. So every operational system you have, your CRMs, your ERPs, etc. And we're going to ingest that into Databricks as our database platform. The database platform automates all sorts of interesting stuff. It manages all the stuff that DBAs used to have to do hard work. That's why we chose Databricks, right? We like it as an automated platform. There's lots of tools that automate the ingestion side. Just looking out here, I see Airbyte, I see Fivetran, I see Rivery, S3, all of these tools that automate the ingestion. On the right-hand side, we've got lots of automation around BI and consumption. Where the problem's been is where I've just described automation and transformation and modeling. And so that's where Coalesce fits. It's a transformation platform that automates the transformation and the building of the native Databricks objects, the code, etc. So it's going to create your DDL, your DML, automate the documentation and deployments. So before, when I was talking about climbing that hard staircase of update your model, update the physical layer, update your code, update your documentation, all of that's happening in one tool. One of my colleagues at 4:10, at 4:10, is giving another talk where he's going to demo the software. So if you want to see that, I believe that's in the Marriott suite where they've got more stuff there, but look it up on your app. It's the other Coalesce demo at 4:10 this afternoon. That will blow your mind. If you've only ever written code by hand or used very traditional ETL tools, this is going to totally blow how you do it. Okay, if I can use Coalesce to do this, now I can change the process. When a user comes to me and says, I want a new set of data, I don't ask them for a requirements document. I give them a whiteboard marker and I say, draw what you think you need. And they'll draw boxes and lines and stick figures, whatever makes sense in their world. I'm going to build them a prototype in a couple of hours. And then I'm going to say, come sit with me. Now that you can see real data, refine what you want. And they'll look at it and they'll say, oh, can you add this? And can you add that? And this doesn't work. And can you change this metric? And can you bring in this extra data source? And, oh, I need 3 more attributes I didn't know I needed. And so all of that, you can iterate, prototype, iterate, and then done. They're going to say, what you've got on the screen, stop right there. That's what I want. But because the code is all built according to standards, it's production ready. It's built according to the standards laid out by your architects. And because of that automation, you're immediately ready to deploy. What this means is your project timelines go from months down to days or even hours. The very first project I ever did with Coalesce, I had my first data mart from saying you may now start the project, from turning on, they were using Fivetran for ingestion, we were using Coalesce for the transform. From then saying you may now start, I had their first data mart in production, 5 fact tables, I think it was 15 dimension tables in 7 hours. Okay, not 7 days, 7 months, it was 7 hours. Just that's how the timelines shrink. It becomes highly collaborative. So my users are no longer my frenemies, I become their hero, because instead of them asking, I building and them deciding whether to accept or not, it becomes the two of us solving the problem together. Your data users are going to love you for taking this approach. And so you're going to move from a position of being a frenemy to being their hero. Okay. Any questions? Yes. There you go. Okay, she wanted to take a photograph of my slides. I believe all the slides are going to get published anyway, so yeah. Come and visit us at our booth. It's just over there behind the Fox Sports sign. We're just there. Come and see a demo if this is compelling. It is transformational in the way you do your data projects. As I said, I've been doing this for 36 years. And when I started using Coalesce, it just so changed the way we did projects. I can tell you stories all day where teams of 2 or 4 of us have replaced teams of 60 or 70 or 80 developers and contractors. So, and it went from months down to days. So let me pause there. We'll take any questions. Otherwise, come and see me at the booth. I'll be here afterwards if you'd like to talk more.